Hello everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts, and a happy Mother's Day weekend to you. Today I'm sharing a Slimline card. Let's get to the products. I'm starting with Hello Bluebird Banner Buddies Verticle Banner Die. The Banner Buddies, I'm using the critter images, and the banner die, I'm using the florals. This photo stack, I'm just going to use the Polaroid from that, and the clouds are coming from Mama Elephant Display a Card. The paper I'm using has been in my collection for a very long time. It's this beautiful Uptown Flare. It has fabulous pinks and greens and black. It's just a really funky, fun paper pad, and I thought it would be fantastic to use for this particular project. I am going to start by stamping my images on a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock with Gina K Designs black amalgam ink, and I will begin coloring with my pink markers. I'm starting with R83, R81, and RV10. I will use the R83 as my shading, and then I will come in with the R81 and then highlight my areas with the RV10. After I do a complete coloring, I don't think that there's enough contrast, so I will come in with a neutral, an N3, and I will go over those areas that I thought should have been shaded. I did choose to go with the pinks because I thought that it lent itself well to the paper that I was using. I just thought that if I colored them blue or another color, that it would just be too stark against the colors that I had in mind for this particular card. Now I am going to color this second bird the same way, except I started off with my neutral colors. I will color the bunny in neutral grays as well. I will start with N3, N1, and then N0 as my lightest. Later on, I do come back. I don't know if I do it on screen, but I just thought that it was a little bit too stark, the N3, and so I did do a little blending with the N2 to smooth out the blending just a little bit more on the bunny. I will color the bunny's ears with R20. When I go to color the squirrel, I really struggled with it, and I don't know what the issue was. So I started with some very light E colors, E50 and E53, because I didn't think that I wanted to go too dark because of the paper that I was using. And so I started to color it, and as I was looking at it, it was just a little bit too stark. I did color the chipmunk using the E57 and the E55, which was a little bit darker, and I liked those colors better, so I will come back to that squirrel and I will start adding some of those darker shades, and I end up liking it so much better. Although I did struggle coloring the tail because of the curl, and I don't know what the issue was. I don't know where my mind was at, why I just couldn't function to just get the shape of that tail, what was the block that I was having. I have some fabulous Kitten Clouder coloring videos that I have purchased, and I have only watched one of them, and I've had them for quite a while, and I keep saying that I am going to set it up because it's on my computer and I'd like to put it on my TV, and I keep saying that I'm going to set it up and do it. And I think that this week I really am going to do it. After trying to color this tail and just having the mental block of what I should be doing, I decided that that is something that I am going to come back to, and I think that I really want to work on my Copic coloring. I'm not a fantastic Copic colorist. I think my end results are good. I don't think that they're fantastic, and I think that I really want to work at creating a product that I'm much happier with. I do love the colors that I'm using on this little chipmunk. I think the E57 and the E55 are just a beautiful combination together, especially for the little stripe, and I am happy with the way that they turn out. After I finish coloring these, I will take them over to my brother's Scan and Cut, and I will cut them out using that with a 1/4 inch border. And I take my gel pen, I have a black gel pen, and I will color in the eyes on all of the critters. The nose on the bunny is actually going to be pink, and the beak on the birds. I started with colored pencils, and I was using my Faber-Castell pencil in Naples yellow, and then I went back over it with one of the Copic markers in yellow. So I did the Y8, just one color, because that beak is just, you know, it's very small. Now I have cut a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock to 9 by 8, and I scored it at the 4-inch line. This first pink piece of paper is 4 by 9, and I will adhere it to my card, and I did not fold my card right, so you see that white border. I will go in later on off camera and refold it so that it fits nicely. This second piece, I took the photo stack and I cut it out in the center of that smaller piece, which is 3 3/4 by 8 3/4, and then I cut the photo stack out again in the black polka dot, and I wanted to inlay that, and I wanted the back panel to the pink panel to peek out, which is why I cut that top bubble or polka dot panel. Now I'm taking some Versafine black Onyx ink and stamping my sentiment, which is "You're so kind," and I'll start taking all of the little elements. Those clouds again are from the Mama Elephant Display a Card. I cut those out of white Neenah 80-pound cardstock. I took some of the scrap paper from the Uptown Flair and cut out some of those flowers, and I'm starting to arrange some of my flowers to see how I want the card to go, and I realize that I think that white just blends in a little bit too much on the bigger flowers, and B, those smaller tiny flowers that are pink, that it's just too much of the same color pink, and so I will use this Picked Raspberry Distress ink, and I'm going to ink both the front and the back sides of those larger white flowers, and I will also do that to the smaller flowers. Now this is a McGill tool that is specifically made for flower shaping, and so I am just rolling the edges of my petals, and then I will take a stylus and a foam mat that will allow a little bit of flexibility as I press on those flowers, and it will give those flowers just a little bit of shape. And I just didn't want them laying flat to the card, and so I decided that I would go ahead and add a little bit of shape to them. I wanted to talk a little bit about the photo stack or the Polaroid that I used. I just wanted to talk about how, you know, if you just cut your panels as I did, the top panel being 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. If you cut those and you have circles in your collection, or you have squares, or you have hexagons, you can really create your own templates with these Slimline cards. You don't necessarily need the dies. There's some dies that I have purchased that are like striped dies, and if you don't have a cutting machine, they're fabulous. A cutting machine, when I say that, I mean like a Brother Scan and Cut or a Cricut or a Silhouette Cameo. If you have one of those machines, you really can cut almost anything from those, but the patterns that some of the Slimline dies have as far as like stripes go, and maybe some of the intricacies to the circles, create a little bit of variety in these, but you can create your own templates using the dies that you already have. So if you're on a crafty budget, or you know, you just feel like you have too many products and you are on a spending freeze because you want to use what you have, this is a great way to use the dies that are in your collection to create a unique background for your Slimline cards. I am using the art glitter glue to glue some of the pieces to the panel. The clouds were adhered directly to the panel. Now I'm using just a little bit of pop dots to pop up the critters, and then I will start putting the flowers together and tucking them underneath. I think that this is just a super bright and cheery card. I love the way that it turned out. I am becoming such a big fan of these Slimline cards. The only negative that I have to say is that they're super hard for me to photograph because of the size. I have to take my pictures landscape in order for the photograph to be full screen at the end of my videos, and so that is one of the challenges for me, is trying to take a good picture of the Slimline card. But other than that, they are fast becoming some of my favorites. Now, these are from Lucy's Cards. I'm going to use 3 different varieties of these pearls and gems. Everything that I'm using will be linked in the description box below. I do receive a small commission on some of the links. Not every link that I provide is a link that I receive commission on, but there is commission received on some of the links. So by clicking those, you do help support my channel. If you're not a subscriber, I would love for you to subscribe. I am so happy to say that I did have many new subscribers from the last hop. I want to welcome you all to my channel. I hope that you will enjoy this journey with me, and that you'll stick around until we reach that 1,000 subscriber mark and we can have a big celebration together. So these little pearls are absolutely beautiful, and I just thought that they would add, because there's a little bit of glitter to the paper, so a little glitter and shimmer to the paper, I thought that having the little jewels would add just a little bit more sparkle. I came in and originally did just a sprinkling of the stickles around the edges of those clouds and didn't like it. I ended up coming back in and filling them in. And then the bottom there, I thought that it was still a little bit void, and there is, I thought that the space was just too open, and so there is a thank you sentiment that also comes with this stamp set, and so I thought that I would just stamp "You're so kind, thank you" to fill that in just a little bit more. And that'll pretty much be my card. Thank you so much for watching. Here's a closer look. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. Have a fabulous Mother's Day.